Hello everyone, Mocap here. In 2025, biomedical engineer Dr. Ryan Stone as a mission specialist on his first space shuttle mission, STS-157. She goes on a spacewalk repairing a Hubble Space Telescope panel with veteran astronaut Matt Kowalsky leading his final expedition. Mission Control suddenly told them to abort the spacewalk and return to the STS. Houston told them that the debris from a Russian missile attack on a non-existent satellite had caused a chain reaction that destroyed other satellites, with a huge debris field in the way. After a few minutes, they lost contact with Mission Control, although Stone and Kowalsky continued to send signals in the blind spot in the hope that the ground crew would hear them, causing it to spin wildly. With Stone at the end of the console, a piece of debris dislodged the robotic arm from the ISS, and Stone was forced to untie the strap holding her to the robotic arm. Once she was free, she was thrown far away from the STS. Stone panicked and tried to contact Houston or Kowalsky. Suddenly Kowalsky appeared, wearing an engine wing, and tied his rope to him. He takes them back to STS on his way to find Engineer Sharif. His helmet is shattered and his skull is almost empty. They discovered that the STS Explorer was catastrophically damaged. The inside of the shuttle is torn apart and the rest of the crew is dead. Kowalsky decided to use the set of engines to go to the International Space Station, which is in orbit about 100 kilometers away. Kowalsky estimates that they have 90 minutes until the debris field completes its course and they are threatened again. When Stone's oxygen reserves were low, they floated into space to the International Space Station. Kowalsky asked Stone about life in her hometown and learned that her daughter had died in a school accident. As they approached the slightly damaged ISS, they saw that its crew had been evacuated from the Soyuz module, while another Soyuz parachute, designated TMA-14M, had accidentally deployed, making it impossible to return to Earth. Kowalsky said the Soyuz could still be used to go to the nearby Tiangong space station in China for another module that could take them to Earth. With little air and maneuvering fuel engine blocks, the pair tried to hold on to the ISS as they approached. The rope tying them together snapped, and at the last moment Stone's leg became entangled in the Soyuz parachute line. Stone grabbed Kowalsky's rope, narrowly stopping him from flying into space. Kowalsky realized that his momentum would take them both, and despite Stone's protests, he untied the end of the bond, allowing Stone to live. The tension in the line pulled him back to the ISS. As Kowalsky moved away, he sent her further instructions on how to get to the Chinese space station and encouraged her to continue her survival mission. Stone entered the International Space Station through an airlock and took off his spacesuit. She became familiar with SKS when the alarm suddenly alerted her to a fire. She walked over to the burning module and tried to put it out, but was momentarily stunned as the force of the fire extinguisher pushed her back into the bulkhead. She recovered and shot the flames back, moving through them to the Soyuz. Closing the fire, she closed the hatch and pulled out the extinguisher at the last moment as it blocked the hatch. She separated from the ISS to find the Soyuz parachute cord tangled in the station's rigging. She donned a Soviet spacesuit and exited the spacecraft to release the cables. While staying close to the Soyuz, the ISS was destroyed around it. Disconnected from the ISS and parachute line, Stone re-entered the spacecraft and pointed at Tiangong. She started the engines, but the fuel gauge was wrong. The tank was empty. Stone realizes he is trapped and believes he must die. After overhearing an Inuit fisherman on land named Aningak speak to her, she slowed the flow of oxygen, causing her to slip into a coma from lack of oxygen before dying. As she began to lose consciousness, Kowalsky suddenly appeared outside, unlocked the ship and entered the cabin. He cheerfully asks if she wants to live or die. He told her to use the Soyuz lander to reach Tiangong. When she regained full consciousness, Kowalsky had disappeared and became part of the Phantom. Stone restored the flow of oxygen and used the landing engines to sail skyward. With no fuel to slow the Soyuz or connected to the Chinese space station, Stone was ejected from the Soyuz by explosive decompression. Using the remaining pressure in the fire extinguisher as a makeshift engine, she heads for the also abandoned Heavenly Palace. She enters the Tiangong space station and passes through the inner room to reach the Shinzu hut. The impact of the debris field degraded the orbit of the Tiangong station and began to disintegrate into the upper atmosphere. Unable to separate the capsule from the space station, Stone resigned himself to his fate regardless. As the space station began to disintegrate and Shinzu's capsule separated from the station, Stone ignited the mechanism that separated the capsule from the rest of the spacecraft. As the capsule falls towards Earth, it orients itself and descends through the atmosphere. A signal came over the radio from Mission Control that they were tracking the capsule and that a rescue was underway. The stone automatically unfolded and the stone landed in the lake near the shore. The cabin filled with smoke, and after she opened the hatch, the capsule tilted to allow water to enter. Just when she thought she was safe, she couldn't get out of the capsule. The capsule sank to the bottom with rocks inside. Finding an air bubble inside the capsule, Stone exited the capsule and removed her spacesuit to reach the surface. She swam ashore, struggled to her feet and took a few unsteady steps. As a movie recap channel, we thank you for being a part of our community. Stay tuned for more exciting content.